Hey folks, this is Nathan. This week I got a question from one of the students about what's the best way to get your type to curve around the CD. And I see a few of you are already applying this feature in your designs, and so if you already know how to do this, then just disregard this tutorial. But if you don't, and you're looking for a couple ways to know how to get that type to work on a curve, then watch this. This will be a short video, but it should help. So there's, like in all things Adobe, there's about 16 ways to skin a cat, and this is no different. I'll start with one of the basic features, which is the type on a path tool. You can technically create a circle that you would want to where you want your type to go, and make a path basically that you would want that type to run on. And then you go to your type tool and you click on that, or right click on that. You have all these different options. You want to select the type on a path tool. So right click on the type tool, the drop down or the fly menu opens up, and you have these options. Click on type on a path, and now you roll over to your circle, and you click your icon or your type, and then you can type in your name. My CD rocks, right? And now you can edit that like any other typeface and increase the size. It's too big. There we go. And I can, I could leave it that way because it doesn't look too bad, and maybe drop it down a touch. And now I've got my typography. One of the things that you want to keep an eye on, guys, is your kerning. And so you can drop your type icon or cursor in between words, and hold down Option and hit your arrow keys. You can see how I'm adjusting the space between the letters so that they're more equal. And it makes a difference to pay attention to the smaller details of your typography. So that's one way to do it, type on a path tool. Another way to do it is you can go to just your regular type tool and say, let me think here. My wife's listening to Adele right now, so let's just make Adele nice and big, and I'll go with a bold font, and I want that to wrap in a nice curve. I can go to effects. At my top menu, there's an effects option. Let me see how I'm at effects. I'll scroll down the effects menu and go to warp, and there I can choose a range of options. Sorry, my camera got tilted there. Options, and you just need to play with all these different options. And I like going with the arch because it gives me an equal amount of space. But you can also do arc, which goes that way, and go back to arch. And now we can adjust how high we want that to go, and we can mess with this as we see fit. We say OK. Now this typography is still editable, so you can change your name if you want. You can highlight it, hot music, and change that, and hold down shift and scale things down and move things around. But if you want to, personally, I don't like rolling over this and having to deal with that offset. Basically, so once I'm done, I'll select it, and I'll go to type, and I'll create outlines, and now it's an object. It's no longer typography. It's just these are all individual vector objects. If I go to object expand appearance, then my let me zoom in. My objects this is what it looked like after I outlined it. You can see the outline of the type. But now if I expand appearance, I've really got control over my objects. And they're all grouped together. If you hold down Command Shift G, you can ungroup these things so that you can work with the letters on an individual basis. By default, they'll always be grouped after you outline or expand. So that's another way to try and get the curve going. You have the type on a path tool, you got the effects, and the warp tool. and you can choose arch or rise or anything like that. I want to caution you guys to not overdo the effects with your typography. It's cliche, it's bad design if you wind up doing a whole bunch of type effects and not really focusing in on the details, but just kind of using these warp options for your typography to, what are you trying to add the creativity to your piece. It's just bad design. You don't want to do that. They have its place. Those type effects have their place, but be very cautious. If you were to do an audit and you were to go to like Pentagram's portfolio, you won't see too many type effects. You just won't. It's just not something that we do in the business. So keep that in mind. If you're in Photoshop, and I'm going to switch over to Photoshop here, and you want to do type on a curve, it's similar. They don't have a type on a path tool, but you can warp type like you do in Illustrator. And I can go to, let's see, layer, the layer menu, and you scroll down to type, and then in that scroll down menu of type, you have warp text. So layer, type, warp text, and now you have the same options as you do when you're in Illustrator, and you can curve it and not and do those kinds of things. Say okay. So and what I do at the office is I do my typography in Illustrator, and then I open it up and drop it into Photoshop. You know, technically I have both of these software things open, right? So here's Illustrator and here's Photoshop. I can take hot music or music and literally just drag it into Photoshop, and it comes in as a vector object. So you can see that it's one object and it's in one layer, and it's as a vector smart object. So that's editable, I guess. Editable. So there's a layer, there it is. Do you want to click and drag objects into Photoshop and Illustrator? You can. I mean, sure. You can do, you can do artistic effects, filters on this. You can add drop shadows. It's an object in Illustrator, so or in Photoshop. So, there you go. All right, type on a path. That's what I got. If you guys have questions, let me know. Sorry, this is kind of ad hoc, but hopefully it's helpful. And I appreciate all you guys are doing. Just a quick comment to that. You guys are doing a great job in this class. We have some strong solutions. We have some really talented students in this class, and some very hard workers. And I'm impressed. I've really enjoyed working with you guys and seeing the growth in your CD designs. I want to encourage you just to remember to hit the details. It's the details that make or break your portfolios. It's the details that make or break your concepts. You have to push your designs, and you have to take the time to make sure that you are hitting the small elements. So if you have a composition and you don't have a strong focal point, your design is weak. If you don't have a strong focal point, it probably means that you don't have a very good concept. So you may have to revisit your idea as a whole. Get feedback from your peers. Certainly, please try to apply what I'm asking you to think about in your own critical thinking. I'm not your art director. I don't want you guys to design this so that I'm happy. I want you to be confident in your choices, but I need you to make sure that you're ready to defend those choices. I need you to make sure that you're making good design choices, and you're not just slapping things together and dropping type off of a big background picture. Anybody can do that kind of crap. Secretaries can do that stuff. The difference between a designer and a secretary is a secretary can learn how to use software. A designer learns and knows how to create or solve problems creatively. There's a huge difference in that, being a software monkey and being a designer. So I'm going to push you guys to really think about your concepts, and then push you to see the details in your designs. Please know that I'm rooting for you. I want you to come out of this class with a portfolio piece. Really want you guys to feel confident about the work that you're doing and the skills that you're growing. So if you hear me come down on you a little hard, it's just me trying to get you to think a little harder and push a little more. Okay, and with that, it's like an online fist bump. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys in the chats.